You want me to put that on my todger?
Harry's wife. Come back, Harry, but leave your wife. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. RadarOnline.com, with an article by Aaron Johnson, tells us King Charles III and royal family hope Prince Harry comes to his senses and returns to the United Kingdom without wife, Harry's wife. Hardly a surprise, really, to read that headline, that they would want him to come to his senses and that they want him to come back to the United Kingdom, but without her, because, of course, they now see very clearly, as a consequence of her behaviours and the received advice, that she is trouble, and they understand now the most effective way to deal with her. They, of course, find themselves in a situation which many people do, that a loved member of their family has been ensnared by a narcissist and has had their head turned, so that they remove themselves from family and friends, regarding those family and friends as the problem. Harry, having been brainwashed as a consequence of her manipulative behaviours and being sucked into the awful shared fantasy that they reside within, deems that they are the problem. Whilst, of course, there will be instances that he recognises that his wife has been problematic. For instance, witness his reaction in the Shitflix documentary when he saw the way that she mocked his grandmother with regard to curtsying. The fact is, for the most part, he buys into her narrative. He has drunk the Kool-Aid, that he accepts what she has to say about it all. And that, of course, is problematic for those other family members, and it is for those that I have advised, where they feel that they've lost somebody from their family, a son, a brother, a daughter, a sister, to the clutches of a narcissist. The article explains King Charles III and other senior royals have yet to rectify their bond with exiled Prince Harry, but they remain optimistic he will come to his senses and return home to the United Kingdom eventually. RadarOnline.com has exclusively learned. Is it the case that he will come to his senses? I very much doubt that he will do so whilst he remains with her. Why? 2 reasons. She continues to manipulate him, keeping him in the awful shared fantasy, but also his own addiction to her continues to be stimulated and fueled because he stays within the 5 arenas of interaction. He has physical involvement with her. He's communicating with her. He's doing things in relation to her. He will talk about her with other people, and he will be thinking about her. This means his addiction is being fed and his emotional thinking will stay high, clouding his judgment. He therefore will not come to his senses so long as he remains in a relationship with her. He would need a substantial intervener, or more likely, when she disengages from him, which is what I see as more likely is going to happen, that means that he will have reduced involvement with her. Thus, his emotional thinking will start to go down, creating room for his logic to come to the fore instead. Harry's father Charles, his stepmom Queen Camilla, as well as his only brother William, as well as his sister-in-law Kate, all miss the Duke of Sussex, or at least the version he was before he went to war with the royals, Palace insiders claimed. This, of course, recognises the way that Harry has changed in his behaviours, again as a consequence of the involvement of Harry's wife. Charles and William would love to speak to Harry more frequently, albeit for different reasons. Charles would want to speak to him more regularly, as that would enable him to manage his facade by having a more balanced family and enable him to assert control over his son, whilst nullifying the threat to control posed by Harry's wife by resurrecting and having a better relationship with him that also impacts upon her. From William's perspective, as a normal, he has considerable emotional empathy for his brother, and therefore his desire to speak to his brother is driven by the genuine love that he has for him. At the moment, his emotional empathy has been reduced for his brother as a consequence of his brother's conduct and that of his wife, meaning that he has found it easier to keep his distance and follow the advice that he has received. The insiders explained that they would love to speak to Harry more frequently, invite him over to stay, and so on, hinting there is hope for Harry to find his way back into the warm embrace of the royal family. But the consensus is, as long as Harry's wife is in the picture, it's not worth the fallout that would likely ensue. This demonstrates that the royal family have become cottoned on to the fact that not only is she a problem, but she's the one that's controlling him and affecting the relationship that they have. Harry and Harry's wife uprooted to California with their family after they stepped down from their senior duties in 2020, having since spoken out about their contentious royal exit in a sit-down with Oprah Winfrey before the couple's Shitflix docuseries topped the most watched list and his page-turning memoir Spare hit the shelves. Reports have emerged that Harry's wife and Harry's marriage is on the rocks, perhaps impacted by the ongoing backlash, as critics have accused them of being spotlight-seeking. The former Suits actress raised eyebrows when she didn't attend the Gracie Awards show in Beverly Hills, where she was honoured for her Arsey Wipes podcast. Meanwhile, onlookers said that Harry looks like he's been carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, despite his new life. It's impossible to ignore all of those swirling rumours of tensions between Harry and Harry's wife, a source added. The royals are watching things play out and ponder the effect it's having on Harry's marriage. The preferred scenario is Harry stays married, but finds a way to fix his differences with the family, added the insider. The trouble is, this just doesn't seem to be plausible. And indeed, it isn't. So long as the royal family recognise what Harry's wife is and what she does, they will keep their distance. They will keep their distance in terms of the advice that they've received, and also recognising that if they have engagement with her, it causes problems in terms of she can't be trusted with what she's made privy to, and that can then be used by her monetarily and also to be thrown into the faces of the royals. They've certainly learned their lesson with regard to the interactions they've had with her. They also recognise the hold that she has over Harry, and therefore so long as she remains in the picture, the royals recognise that there is no hope for him to come to his senses. Instead, this message is being sent as an overture, in the expectation of Harry understanding that the family still want him, minus his wife. That, of course, is not necessarily going to go down well with the Prince of Pink Pancakes at this juncture. But it strikes me as that it's part of a subtle campaign to basically say to Harry, we still care about you, we still love you, we'd like you to come back, we just don't want the troublemaker coming too. It's not going to cause him to suddenly go, do you know what, you're right, I'm going to divorce her and fly back post-haste. But it is part, as I suspect, of a subtle campaign to influence Harry to get him to understand the way that he's viewed, and also that as his wife. It's also part from King Charles of facade management to demonstrate that he is a caring father and that he wants Harry to return free of his troublesome wife. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.